let's start with Tom here and basically tell us how you got involved with Dawn of the Dead.
I have no idea. No, I remember, yes, I was doing a play. I got a telegram from George and it said, we've got another gig, start thinking of ways to kill people. That was it. I still have the telegram. And that was it. Then, of course, he came back to Pittsburgh, said it was Dawn of the Dead, the sequel to Night of the Living Dead, and then the rest was building what was in the screenplay. The rest is history, too.
All right, next on that, let's just go on down the line.
Oh, you skipped Ken, though.
I just got here.
No, he jumped ahead of the line, you see. He jumped ahead of the line.
This is going around back to the telegram.
Okay, we're going around.
All right, Ken, go for it.
What was the question?
Basically, the question was, can you tell us how you got involved with Dawn of the Dead and became an actor in the film?
Oh my God, we don't have that much time.
No, we don't have that much
time. We got how many people on this? Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's too many people up here to tell this story.
Skip me.
Let's see.
All right, 25 words or less.
Just 10 words or less.
10 words.
Audition with Galen, Scott, and...
That's 10, that's 10.
Just
the principal. Galen, Scott, that's 25. Give me comments.
Mannaggia, che brutta animale.
You're right.
How did I get involved with it? Heard about it. I was off Broadway doing an off-Broadway play. Actor told me that they had somebody that might fit my description. I should go up and maybe audition for this part. Audition with Galen, Scott, and David one day, and then 2 days later with 3 other actors. And about a week later, they called and said I got the part, and then I was on a plane with Galen, Scott, and David to Pittsburgh.
Wait, you auditioned with Galen and Scott? I didn't know that.
Galen, Scott, and David.
Yeah?
Yeah, we all...
In New York?
In New York.
Cool.
That's right.
Yeah.
Same thing he said.
Was there anybody else at the audition? Because he cast all of you. I mean,
He was just a happy guy.
Okay, all right.
No, I was working in a restaurant. I was working in a restaurant in New York, and the owner knew George. And I came to work one day, and the owner says, "I want you to meet somebody." And it was George, and I met him, and he said he was auditioning for a movie, and I said, "Okay, can I audition?"
Did he say, can you fly a helicopter?
He didn't give a shit. Because I never got off the ground in it, so it didn't matter. He asked me if I could, if I fit the jacket, I had to roll.
Ah. So we only had one jacket, eh?
We only had one jacket,
Okay, cool.
and the other guy was looked like that, and way too big for the coat. So I got the jacket.
Let's see. I was in an acting class. I think this was the first real job I ever had, but that wasn't on my resume. I had a long list of jobs on my resume.
Were you sober?
I was very sober, thank you. And I didn't know who George Romero was, and I never heard of Night of the Living Dead, and I knew nothing. And they just said, "Can you come and audition?" And I had no idea what I was in for until we all had a screening. Remember, George invited us all up to screen Night of the Living Dead, and I went, "Oh my God!" And that was the beginning.
She was beautiful, like she is now. She was gorgeous.
Can you hear me?
That's good.
That's true.
I was a classical stage actor in New York. Next. I took myself. Somebody shut
Yeah, we turned you off.
Shut the mic off.
You don't learn mic technique as a
His phone is, but you can't turn your phone off.
Yes, Captain. The phone.
It's a job, Scott.
Sorry.
Job.
No, anyway, so, well, that's true. Anyway, so I took myself very seriously. However, I knew George's girlfriend, who I don't think then was his wife, actually. Was they married? No. And she and I were in the theater department together in college, and I was working at the same restaurant that David was working at. Anyway.
They had very
What did he do,
good
cast the whole
Right.
restaurant?
And that's a whole other story. And so I auditioned for George.
Warner Schiff was there.
And yeah, Warner Schiff was there. I auditioned for George, and after I first auditioned for him, he was very kind and whatnot, and he said, "Wow, that was really good. That's not quite what I was thinking, but yeah, I like it. And I said, okay. So I went to a callback, and then he said to me, I have one problem. And he said, I said, well, what's that? Well, there's this other guy I've already cast, and he's about twice your size. And he was very concerned about that, and which was Kenny, of course. And I don't know, it just came out of my mouth. I just said, so who cares? The audience is not going to care after the first 5 minutes, George. And I just looked at him. He kind of looked back at me, and then later on in the restaurant, he came up, put his hand on my shoulder, and said, oh, okay, you got the part.
Anyhow, I think it's great that you're allowing the zombies to talk today. You know, we don't do a whole lot of talking. Sharon and I were in musicals in Pittsburgh as the Pittsburgh Playhouse, and believe it or not, we were doing operettas. And we had done Nanette, and we were singing and dancing, and we were walking down the street in Pittsburgh, and believe it or not, Lenny Lisa's brother saw us, and he said, you know, George Miller is looking for people to be in a new movie. I said, great, where is he? He told us where it was. So we went up, Sharon and I went up, and we talked to George. George was sitting in there alone with his wife, Chris. It wasn't his wife at the time. He talked to us for a while, and he says, you know, I think I'd like to make you two lead zombies in Dawn of the Dead. And I said, well, what's a lead zombie? Isn't that the truth? What's a lead zombie? He said, well, what we'll do, we'll feature you in the movie, you'll see you a lot, and we'll give you a credit. And he said, and you'll have a good time. I said, sign us up, we're on. You know, so we became lead zombies in Dawn of the Dead. I gave him a resume, and I had worked in security for the government for a while, for a long time. And he called me up the next day and says, Clayton, I understand you know about weapons. And I said, a little bit. He said, well, I'll let you handle all the weapons. You're taking care of all the weapons from here on in. And he said, and Sharon, I want her to be in wardrobe. So that's how Sharon and I got into Dawn of the Dead, but believe me, it's been a good ride. We've had a good time with it. We're having as much fun with it now as we did make it. In fact, maybe more fun now. Thank you for your patience.
Okay, I own the restaurant where David and I lived in a theater, had live entertainment, and I did a couple independent films with Lenny Lee's brother Michael, and he also told me about Dawn of the Dead, so I got some notebook paper and I wrote out a resume and I took a picture and took it down to George and he hired me. I was surprised. And, I did a little makeup work and it just all worked out. It's all history now. But, and by the way, you guys are both fired.
Finally.
Okay, I have no interest in acting whatsoever. Yeah, you can tell. There's no ham in me whatsoever. I was a grip on the film. About 130 weeks into the film. George's films are a little bit longer than most people. I started realizing that the other production assistants and grips like myself were getting on camera as bikers and zombies, and I'd always had this sort of secret passion to be a famous monster. So I said to George when it's like 3 o'clock and everything is set up and we're waiting for the actors to come out. And I said, hey George, I'd like to do a zombie. He said, okay, go upstairs and see what they. Upstairs was the community room where we all gathered each night before we started working. And went upstairs and there was a casting person named John Amplis who was also in several of other George's films, especially Martin, the vampire. And so I said, hey John, George says, see what you have, and turned around and gave him this machete with a hole cut into it for his head. To make a long story short, next night, I was the machete zombie. And he cut out of the film. I was just thrilled to do something physical that I could react to. And the little bit of ham that is there in me came out that night, and the rest is history.